All right. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Mets Weekly. We are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X to discuss the latest offseason news and rumors, breaking news, which we're about to get into. Before we get into that, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our show that are recorded live every now Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. For those of you watching on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. For all of you in the live chat, we love reading your comments, your questions, your concerns. If you feel like you're being ignored, you're not. You're just going to be starred throughout the show, even though it's more of a Discord type of live stream that we are doing here. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok for more content over there. You are going to get us killed, okay? You are going to get us killed. Okay. Now, before we get into this, before we get into this, Mets fans, it is okay to be upset. But I want to advise everyone, even though I partook in this yesterday regarding Edwin Diaz, to take a deep breath, okay? Obviously, Pete Alonso is a fan favorite. Seeing him walk away, that must stink for a lot of Mets fans. However, we'll see what they have to going forward as their next plan. Either way, Pete Alonso has signed with the Baltimore Orioles for 5 years, $155 million. We'll get into all of the details for everything that went on here, and obviously the latest that we are getting from the winter meetings. But of course, a big, important pillar of this franchise for 7 years is now moving himself to Baltimore into the American League. And this, so far, has been a winter of goodbyes. Andrew, Brandon Nimmo was first, Edwin Diaz yesterday, and now Pete Alonso. 3 key pieces to this team for 7 years now. Brandon Nimmo even longer. All gone. So maybe there's a message being sent here. I don't know. The offseason isn't done, but when we said there was a shakeup possibly coming, this is exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah, David Stearns has decided that these group of losers haven't won a damn thing, and he's going to make the team in his way. And fans be damned. And the fact that we thought, maybe they'll shake the core up, maybe a McNeil trade, maybe he trades a couple of pitchers. And then obviously the free agent guys, we didn't, we were like, there's no way they'd find a way to trade Nemo. And he is literally lining them all up and kicking them to the curb. Nim goes first for a 90-year-old second baseman. Diaz goes to win 3 World Series with Dodgers. And then this guy goes to play with the Birds. And he low-key kind of looks like that logo, so he's going to fit in perfectly right there in Baltimore.
Okay. Now, I think, again, we have talked about the contract talks with Pete Alonso for quite some time. We've talked about his future with this team for a long time, obviously. The free agency that he had last year was just a dragging out saga, obviously. And the Mets obviously set a price for Pete Alonso, with him being a, offensively, an offensively heavy first baseman. And, like we have talked about it before, with the core members of this team, whether it's talking about the leadership of the team, the message being sent, they needed to make changes. They brought in Juan Soto. He's not going anywhere. Lindor's not going to go anywhere. So obviously those are the 2 focal pieces of this team. But then you get to the internal part of the team. the Alonsos, the Nimmos, the McNeils, who were here before them, they have not won a thing. Nothing. And we have talked about this many, many times before. There was going to be a point in this offseason where we were going to have conversations that that some fans are not comfortable having. Now, obviously, when I'm talking about this, I seem a lot more calm. If you were here yesterday, it's a lot different. Once, obviously, Edwin Diaz was my favorite Met. Still is at this current moment, because technically he hasn't pitched for the Dodgers yet. He's coming back, right? No. It was more of the situation at hand, obviously. They get outbid by like $3 million, and then there's this entire media brigade of saying this is okay because you have Devin Williams, not to mention Devin Williams' connection to David Stearns seems a little bit iffy. I was always okay with the fact that Diaz could possibly leave. That's fine. Again, Pete Alonso, this is dragged on for so long at this point that, Andrew, I think you would agree with me easily here that I've kind of mourned this already, where I'm like, okay, we have Pete for as long as we have him, and, play like there's no tomorrow. And the Mets don't play like there's no tomorrow because they don't succeed. And it's not Pete Alonso's fault, but why would you spend money like this? 5 years, $155 million, the highest AAV for any first baseman, for them to just keep on underachieving like this? Why would you keep investing into something that doesn't achieve? Like, let's be real for a second. This is a technical standpoint. This is a business part of the baseball. I know people are upset. You're okay. It's okay to be upset. But let's be real for a second. This team hasn't won anything. This team feeds off of individual accomplishments. That's literally it. Pete Alonso's, Pete Alonso's 2 home run derby titles. Does that help the franchise? No. Pete Alonso's all-star selections. Does that help the franchise? No. Pete Alonso breaking the home run record. Does that matter? No. To be honest, when that happened, I'm like, okay, finally, it's done. Finally, it's done. We can stop talking about it. I want to win. That's what I want to do. And before everybody tells me, well, you're not going to win without Alonso in this lineup, okay, so what have they done with him in the lineup? Not win. You can't have it both ways. You can't tell me we're not going to win without Alonso and then say, well, we're not going to win without Alonso. But then it's not his fault if we don't win. Can't have it both ways. You just can't. I'm sorry. I've mourned this. I think we all, like, I think me and you, we've mourned this. We're like, okay, there's like, the clock's ticking here. He's been here for 7 years. This core's been here for 7 years. Most of this core has been here for 5 years. We're moving on. It's time to move on.
Yeah. And, again, and I'll get to my cynical self later. I'll try to be at least somewhat down to earth and helping, those sad polar children. I'll give you guys a little before I get to make fun of you. But yeah, again, what have they accomplished? I mean, again, and I can already hear, we've already seen, well, you can't replace 50 and 100 or 40 and 100. You know what you can do that? You can replace him with 2 20 homer guys and 2 60, 70 RBI guys. You need a deeper lineup. You don't have the depth. Like, and you could say right now, and this is what maybe I don't love with Stern, the approach he's doing it, because he's not helping the fact where it's been bang, 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 bang in the deficit of cutting, which is fine. But yet you have not seen the improvements. And like, you couldn't even like at least put a buffer being like, okay, Diaz was gone. All right, let's sign our back. Or like, we traded Nimmo, and I get that's early, and the Nimmo thing was first. But the fact that it's been bang, 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 back to back to back. And there hasn't been an upgrade. You could say Devin Williams, but Devin Williams is a lateral downgrade. by everyone thinking
Devin Williams is an upgrade from Drew Smith.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Shut
hey,
up.
I am doing the minor victories. Damage control.
The damage control, yes. So like we haven't again, and this is maybe, and again I do have not been on David Stern, and we saw it, but now with him gone, the Tubby Polar Bear out of here, we have a whole off season that they can go in any direction. If they want to go top of the outfield market, they can because they didn't sign Alonso. Do they want to make the blockbuster trade for, Buxton? I know the Twins have said no, but the Twins are dumb as shit. Do you maybe call AJ Preller, who loves to make trades, and you give him a Godfather offer for Fernando Tatis? Like and that was my main thing, is if you signed Alonso, you kind of knew that nothing else was going to, they were going to make moves, but that was going to be the centerpiece. Now there's no centerpiece to this offseason. So now you can go in a bajillion different ways. If maybe for the Beatty haters, maybe they go sign Bregman. Maybe they go get Bellinger and Bregman. Maybe they sign Tucker and then go trade for now, at least offensively, because that's where the team has the most holes right now, because they can fill a rotation out on opening day. It's not a good one, but they at least have bodies there. The bullpen, obviously, they'll need a couple of bodies. But right now, your lineup is Lindor, Soto, Brett Beatty's hitting third, and Alvarez is hitting cleanup. That's how bad your lineup is right now.
Yeah.
So that would be the priority. And yes, you want to add an ace, and that can still happen. But if we're talking strictly the offensive side of the offseason, with him going to Baltimore and never going to be talked about on the show ever again, after the show, well, maybe one more time we talk with Frank on Friday, but after that, never be talked about again. This offseason now can be so creative and continue to let Stearns build it his way. And if he sees going out and trying to pry Tatis away from San Diego because that is a platinum glove corner outfielder who can play, hell, he could maybe come back down to the infield if you want, but you can put him in right field. You can move Soto to left, improved right prevention and getting that predominant right-handed bat while also signing Cody Bellinger and getting that versatile, center field first baseman. There is so many different ways now with the Polar Bear no longer here for this offseason and for the offensive side that Stearns can just get creative and saying, oh, you can't replace homers. You can say, again, this is just an idea. You can do a Ryan O'Hearn, Eugenio Suarez, DH first base platoon, where you get the better defender in Ryan O'Hearn and you get the 35 to 40 homer power from the right-handed side from Geno Suarez. There is so many different ways now you can get creative. And then because you've gone, less money there, maybe you sign Kyle Tucker. And then you add 3 proven above average bats to a lineup that needs depth. Not having to depend on Beatty and Alvarez to have to, in Beatty's case, duplicate his solid breakout season this year. Alvarez have to stay healthy and be a prominent right-handed power bat because he has to be. You are able now to add 2 to 3 good, and look at this as, and I know this is going to be, drive Mets fans insane. Look at this as a Soto thing from last year where the Yankees had plan B. If you're telling me I can get O'Hearn, Geno, and take a run at Tucker, if you want Tucker, or if it's Bellinger, if you prefer Bellinger over Tucker. You get 3 guys who I know Geno was bad defensively last year, but he is this weird every other year he's a good defender. It makes no sense. Look up on Baseball Bus. He makes no sense, but I love Geno. But even he's the DH. You get a above average defense, a really good defensive first baseman, and you get Cody Bellinger, who can play all 3 outfield spots and first base, who is versatile, who was better against left-handed pitching last year, and then it's lineup. And then you can go 1 through 5 having at least major league caliber hitters, then banking on the prospects of Carson Benj and Beatty's and the Alvarez's and whoever to fill out the bottom half of the lineup. At least you would have a good top half of proven MLB talent in a deeper lineup than you did last year.
I mean, listen, it again, like you said, that centerpiece, I disagree because Carl Edwards Jr., but when you talk about the outlook of the offseason, there's really, again, like we said, there's so many different avenues that they could obviously attack. And the main reason as to why I have that sort of optimism is because, again, I needed there to be a message being sent that the underachieving for so many years with this group, that they're not going to have it anymore. And whether that comes with the pain of removing Pete Alonso or removing Jeff McNeil or removing Brandon Nimmo, that's so be it. I haven't really had as much of an emotional attachment towards that many of these guys. And listen, any fan can be a fan. That is fine. It is okay if you're upset about this. But for me, it's about this team winning and the deficiencies about this team. Pete Alonso played into the deficiencies of this team, whether people want to talk about it or not. Whether people want to admit it or not, he did. The Mets do have a lack of toolsy players. The Mets have a lack of intangible players, guys who fill in the margins, do the little things right. They actually have attention to detail. Something that gets very misconstrued and kind of falls a lot under the weather of winning teams. And when you want to see this type of efficient baseball, you're probably not going to get it from Pete Alonso at first base. Because if you want to tell me that he's one of the best scoopers in the league, well, where has that gotten them? His arm is a nightmare. He's not going to be fleet of foot. And we all know going into his 30s, who knows if that power continues? Who knows if that power continues to be a 40 home run bat? We don't know. And maybe he is a 40 home run bat in Baltimore. That's fine. But again, when you see Pete Alonso stuff the stat sheet every single year and the team just does absolutely nothing with it, why would you invest more money into him for them to just have the same results? It's just dumb. It's not smart. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And like I said, I was never someone who said, let Pete walk. I was never someone who said, you have to sign Pete Alonso. I was fine with it either other way because I knew that there were shortcomings on this team. I knew that they needed to make the roster deeper, and that would come with the cost of Pete Alonso. Now, it all depends on what the plan is afterwards. Who knows what the plan is afterwards? I have no clue, but I'm interested to see because obviously there's more moves to be made. The Mets have not made a move. They haven't made an addition during this winter meetings. Only subtractions. So I'm interested to see what they do. But the main reason as to why I'm willing to give this fresh look of taking apart the homegrown core is because they have won nothing. They haven't won anything. And I'm surprised, to be honest, that they were willing to go to this extreme. Because even if I don't agree with everything, there's always something that makes sense. Allowing Pete Alonso to walk, it makes sense for the good of the team. It may not sound good for everybody's fantasy team. There's an echo if you want to. Yeah, okay. You might have to fix that. Okay. Andrew will be back, guys. He's just dealing with some stuff on the side here. But again, it's for the good of this team. It's for the good of the deficiencies of this team. The talent on a team, it just does not mean anything unless the team plays an efficient part of baseball, an efficient type of baseball. Sure, you want your star power. You got Francisco Lindor and you have Juan Soto, two of the best players in all of baseball. You have to build around that. And I also think that the Mets saw this as, well, we keep underachieving with this core. Lindor's not getting any younger. It is time to bring in some fresh blood. Now, it all depends on what the pivots are. Because, again, replacing Alonso's production stat for stat it's probably going to take multiple bats. It may. It could possibly do that. We'll see what happens. They definitely need to get a right-handed bat in there with Pete Alonso gone. But we will see how that gets constructed. But like we have said so many times on this show, I am not going to sit here opposed to the Mets moving on from key pieces that have contributed to the team underachieving. It's not just 2025, it's 2024, 2023, 2022, 2021. Remember when we had even 2020, where we were seen as contending favorites, one of the top teams in baseball. What did we win? Like 26 games out of the 60? Enough with the underachieving. Enough. And everybody will go to, how are we going to compete with the Dodgers? Andrew, let me ask you something. Do the Dodgers give Pete Alonso 5 years, $155 million?
No, because they don't pay B tier stars. They only pay superstars. They don't shop in part B, tier B or tier C. They only go, all right, what's the offseason? Who are the best 2 free agents? Those are who we want. We don't sign anybody else. We go, who are the best on the market? Those are the guys we target. We don't go, well,
wait a minute. So you're telling me that the Dodgers don't look at Pete Alonso and say, wow, he leads the Mets in home runs for their franchise. He has 2 home run derby titles. I want to throw $200 million at him. That's so weird.
Yeah, I think they just see
baseball is backwards, bro. That just doesn't make no sense, bro.
Yeah, I think they just see, okay, he's a solid player. He provides you a massive tool, but that's about it. He doesn't provide you anything else. And if I hear, and this is, now I can start being a cynical person. Now, we will never hear the term scoops ever again.
I already said that. Well, you weren't even here. I was like, I said it. I was just like, yeah, okay, he's a great scooper. All right, cool. Well, he also threw the ball over his fragile pitcher's head and has cost us many games because of his defensive deficiencies. But it's not Pete's fault. Pete doesn't have any fault in this.
No.
Pete doesn't have any fault of him, disappearing for stretches as well offensively. Like, we could get into this. We could throw Pete under the bus, but he's not a Met anymore. He's a Baltimore Oriole.
Okay. Yeah. And he's going to go play in that bet. Oh, it's not a bad. I guess it's not a bandbox, but it used to be. But he hit well at Camden Yards, so he's gonna have fun.
That's the thing. A lot of people on this show, a lot of people who watch our show, they can conceive it as us speaking in absolutes here. We're speaking from just all angles. I mean, we are just speaking from all angles of this conversation. When you talk about Pete Alonso, we'd be fine with him, we'd be fine without him. Like we said, we're fine with either direction that they go in. Like we said, what we wanted was new coaches. But I said, if they want to dip into this core and split it up after 7 years of it, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
I don't have the attachment. I have attachment to winning. I have the desire for winning. That's all I care about. So when people tell me that who's going to get 40 home runs, 120 RBIs, what have those 40 home runs, 120 RBIs got you? Nothing. They got you 2 home run derby titles. That's what it got you. And like we said, the Dodgers don't spend on free agents like Pete Alonso. Free agents with deficiencies. Free agents who are one-dimensional or 1.5-dimensional, whatever you want to call them. They don't. Is Shohei Ohtani a similar play type to Pete Alonso? Does Pete Alonso pitch? No. Does Mookie Betts play first base? And he's one of the best scoopers in the league? And he's a power hitting first baseman? No. He's a 5-tool star. Even Freddie Freeman, compared to him, is Pete Alonso Freddie Freeman? No, he's not. He isn't. And Pete Alonso, he is destined for the 500 home run club. But we already know that Freddie Freeman, guy's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We know that. He's one of the best first basemen, if not the best first baseman of this generation. That's who the Dodgers went after. That's who the Dodgers got. So when everybody says that where would we be without Pete Alonso, what are we with him? Please tell me, are we with him? Listen, I could do a back and forth exchange, okay? You want me to do the back and forth exchange? I'll do it with hand puppets, okay? For the people, for the children in the back who like hand puppets.
Polar bear kid. Yeah, the polar bear kids.
What would we be without Pete Alonso? What are we with him? That's not fair. He can't do it by himself. Why do you want to pay him like he can? I don't know. Polar bear. Yay! Wrong. Sorry for being real. This is what happens when you continue to lose. You make changes. And it's very possible, and to be honest, out of what we were seeing with him signing with the Orioles here and getting all that money, that the Mets probably wouldn't have been in Pete Alonso's market last year, considering the report we just got from Sherman, if they didn't have the qualifying offer attached to him. So, yeah. I mean, and Sherman said the Mets never made an offer. They felt like his market was pushing beyond their comfort level. And we heard it publicly. The Mets are not willing to go above 3 years. Well, he just got a 5-year deal. And for those of you who want to victory lap us and say, well, they want to victory lap us and say, well, we told you someone was going to give Pete Alonso that money. And what did we say? Let them. Let them. From all angles that we look at it from, all perspectives that we're looking at it from. What does he do for this team? What does he not do well for this team? What have the Mets done with him? All angles here. You don't like it? It's brutal honesty. It's what we're known for. It's what we do on here. We're going to say things that you're not going to like. And you're okay to, and everybody's good to flash it back to us if they want to. Go ahead. By all means.
Yeah.
That banner's getting pretty empty, by the way. That banner's getting pretty empty.
There's still one more to go on that banner. But, again, we're not going to just, if you got a problem with us and how we say it, door's right there. But again, I guess keeping this to Alonso, I guess we can sort of segue this into, I guess, replacements to an extent, or however. Like, I can't wait for when they offer Bellinger like a 5-6 year deal, and everyone's gonna be like, "Well, why the hell can you give Bellinger this and not give it to the polar bear?" Because Cody Bellinger gives you defensive versatility. Because Cody Bellinger can steal bases. Because Cody Bellinger can hit for batting average if you care about that. Cody Bellinger is a ball player. He does everything a little bit pretty well. Good defender, can run, can hit for some power, can also, we've seen it definitely, his approach change, 2 strikes. He can put the ball in play and get that, 2-out RBI single and float over. Like, he can do that. Pete's only value he brings is hitting homers. Like, that's the, again, and I'm just sick and tired of it. I'm happy. Literally, I'm sitting here just making mac and cheese, and then Jeff Passan decides to just make my day. Like, it was great, and that contract is laughable. The fact that they gave him Schwarber money, have fun. Baltimore is low-key kind of fun. Lineup looks pretty good. Like, the lineup, they don't have any pitching, but the lineup looks decent. I wouldn't say that, he's now the face of that team. I'd say him or Gunner. He's going to protect Gunner in that lineup. Have fun. Like, I think that's a good fit for him, and I'm happy he's in the American League that, again, you only see him once a year. And good for him. Again, we know we have history. Again, if you've been here long enough, good for him. Good for his family. Have fun. You got your deal. Like, and Mets fans are gonna cry about it. But again, we'll see how he pivots. Like, and that's how my main thing is. Like, okay, we can. Like, there are many ways to do it, and you can get creative. You could trade for Wilson Contreras to be kind of that stopgap for Ryan Clifford, so you don't have to rush Ryan Clifford up. You could trade for Yandy Diaz. You could trade for maybe Brandon Lau and put him at first base. He's not a good defender at second base, and he's played first base. He's played some first base. You put Brandon Lau there as a left-handed bat. Now does this open up trading for multiple outfielders? We're always going to be on Luis Robert. Play center field, baby, with Kyle Tucker or Bellinger. There's two guys. Like, there's hundreds of things now that you can do, and still with more guys to be traded. Again, Jeff McNeil is going to be traded. God forbid. He better. Like,
he's our first baseman now.
Shut the fuck no. Like, he's next. Oh, okay.
Guys,
scared the sheep.
Here's our banner. He's gone. This guy's gone on the right. These two on the right are gone. This guy on the left is gone. And could this guy on the left be gone too? The far left?
I hope.
Wow. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Do we really? Bro, we're really in the Brett Beatty. We're really in the Brett Beatty era. That's crazy. That is a crazy
We're in our
thought.
Brett Beatty era.
Literal Brett Beatty's hitting cleanup right now. If we had played a Major League Baseball game tomorrow, he's batting third or cleanup. That is a scary thought. But again, we don't play baseball tomorrow. We play baseball in 2 months, like 90, a little less than 90 days.
Yeah,
he's got to get to work.
All right, let's get into some of this stuff in the chat here. FGC saying the Mets didn't make the playoffs with Diaz, Alonso, and Nimmo. They can miss the playoffs without them. Boom. Exactly. That's the argument. That's the argument that even New York Rangers fans can't seem to grasp. The Mets are mediocre. The Mets are mediocre with Pete Alonso. They will be shit without him. Either way, it doesn't win anything.
So, there we go. And again, I need to see, and like,
let me ask you, Carson. Let's say if the Mets follow your steps and it fails, I don't have a step. I don't have a checklist, dude. I don't have a. I'm fine with anything. I'm good with anything. I'm open to suggestions because this team has underachieved for 7 years. I am open to any changes. I have no attachment. I just don't. My only attachment is winning. Raising the commissioner's trophy right next to Rob Manfred, smiling for a picture with him. But either way, let's play this game. Would I admit my philosophy is wrong? What philosophy, first of all? But then they would pivot as well, right? I mean, they'd move on to something else. It's okay to be upset, guys.
Yeah, we're not saying you can't be, but we're just not upset because we've been wanting this for 2 years. Like, there's
I'm not saying we want. I'm not going to say I want it. I'm just saying I welcomed it. I welcomed it. I said, hey, changes. Here's my door. Come on in if you want to. That's what I said. That's my reenactment. Did you guys know I'm up for an Oscar for that?
And this is also a question that, like, this team kind of is like a canvas now empty, because besides Lindor and Soto, we're kind of back to what we were last year. We're like, oh, the long-term books are empty. Like, it's Lindor and Soto. Now Semion's only has 2 years left. Minaya only has 2 years left. Senga's got 2 years left. Who else is getting paid money? Who's getting paid money on this team? Well, Devin Williams has got 3 years, so okay, whatever.
Yeah,
it's different.
the Airbender. Yeah.
The Minter is going after this year. Rayleigh could be going after this year. Like, this team with a number 1 farm system in baseball, and has some young players there making nothing. Like, this is kind of a clean slate while having a cornerstone of a franchise, a top pitching prospect, and others in the system. Like, this team is like ready to be molded. And now Stearns trimmed some of the dead fat, trimmed some of the long-term money away, can do what he wants and can create this.
Here's my point. Here's my point of this is, let me say this as simply as I can. I have Francisco Lindor in the prime of his career. I have Juan Soto barely entering the prime of his career already. You're not going to see me crying about Pete Alonso. You're just not.
Yeah. Because
he's not an A-tier, S-tier free agent. I don't know what to tell you. And he just got paid like an A-tier, S-tier, whatever guy. Good for him. But that wasn't going to come from us. Like we said, if anybody thinks that they were going to give a 31-year-old Pete Alonso 5 years, $155 million, you're out of your goddamn mind. Joshua's saying, happy to see the Mets move on from Pete if it's 5 years. What about you? I mean, listen, I am 100% open with it. I think it is the smart decision to not go 5 years for a third baseman going into his 30s that does not require, that gives you these types of first baseman. What did I say?
You said third. You said third baseman.
Third baseman? Okay, well, he was a third baseman when he was drafted, so.
In college, yeah.
See, that's improv right there. Anyways, listen, I am 100% okay with it. I am. Because again, there's only so many times we can do this. Because like, even though you come to love these players and you come to be attached to these players if they're homegrown or whatever, you also become tired of their deficiencies. Like, let's be real for a second. Pete Alonso wasn't perfect. Pete Alonso wasn't the savior of this franchise. He was a great player. He was. And to be honest, I think he's done enough to get his number retired.
Well,
he broke the home run record. Good for him. Down goes Daryl. Polar bear hat on, go to Shake Shack. But we're going to get killed. Okay. But again, changes have to be made. And I'm glad that David Stearns, even with him being a Mets fan, like we've said, even though we all know he's not, he's a fake Mets fan, right?
He's a Connecticut
Mets fan. He's not taking into account the sentimental value of the homegrown players. And he shouldn't. Because what have those homegrown players done but get individual accomplishments that mean nothing? And we're not saying it to be dicks. We're saying it to tell the truth. What exactly have they done? We're not saying it to trash them. We're not saying it to say that, well, this team, what we're saying is this team has not been good enough. And I'm going to tell you right now, even though it doesn't look like it right now and there's no end in sight and it's very, very painful for Mets fans, if you are jealous of the Dodgers and you wanted to pay Pete Alonso this contract, you are going to be spending like the Angels. Do we understand that? If you try to spend like the Dodgers on these types of players, on anybody that's at the top of the market, no matter what, without any player evaluation, you will end up like the Angels. What are the Angels? Not in the postseason every year. With superstars just like us, Like Mike Trout. They've had Mike Trout for years. Can't win. We have our superstars. Juan Soto. So do we want to continue this? Do we want to just keep saying, well, who's going to play first base? Who's going to give us these stats at first base? What are they with him? They've won nothing.
I guess I forgot the Rule 5 draft is going on right now. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the Rule 5 draft is going on.
I doubt they make a select. Yeah.
I don't think they will, but we'll see.
A couple guys I'm interested.
Josh was saying that JT shook to the Rockies with the first pick from the Mets. Oh God, that's even worse. That's even worse than losing Alonso.
Dude, I'm shook from that, bro. I don't know how I feel.
Yeah, the Mets pass on selecting a player in the major league portion. Okay.
There's a couple of solid,
So we're just gonna sign no one?
Nobody. Stearns doesn't want to make risks. Nobody took Josh Baez or Blaze Jordan. Hey, Blaze Jordan would have been a really solid replacement to Alonso. Big power, home run derby champion. That would have been a great friggin' replacement.
But hey.
I got nothing. Again, I'll guess we'll talk about this with Frank, and probably Frank will have a video once he comes home from work. So check out Frank's individual channel. He'll probably have his own video. He made one back on Diaz, so check out Frank's channel. Link in the description. Turn on them post notifications and make sure to tell a friend, tell a rhino. The Mets still haven't made a move, so shout out to Frank. But we'll obviously again after and I cannot wait. After Friday, we will never say the words Pete Alonso again unless we are playing the Baltimore Orioles, because that's the only time we're ever going to be allowed to say Pete Alonso's name again. It's going to be great.
Listen, I know we don't like to give light to this station at all.
Oh God,
but
what now?
This is a good point that I got to point out from Gio at WFAN. This is a good point. It is.
Oh, is this what I think? Is this what I think you're saying? Yeah, that they would prefer to have homegrown guys and lose than have new guys and win. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just Here, this is again. He's not lying.
To me, I understand the whole fan favorite thing. To me, I understand from a business standpoint, where someone like Steve Cohen, like even when we talked about Saquon Barkley with the Giants, and there were discussions about trading him at the trade deadline prior to him going to the Philadelphia Eagles in free agency, and John Mara was reported that he didn't want to do that because now, it was a bad season again, and you want a star player that people like to be finishing out that season so they at least go to the games and be able to root for that. Like, I can understand that side of it. What I can't understand is when Met fans are saying you got to keep a fan favorite. I love this guy. Like, it's almost like they'd rather lose with the guys they like than win with the guys they don't know about.
There you go. It's true. It's true.
Dude, I have no attachment. I have no attachment to Seaman. I don't want to love Semien like Seaman. I don't like Seaman. I want Nimmo. I don't want to get excited seeing Seaman. That's crazy.
The Mets select right-handed pitcher Justin Armbruster in the minor league portion of the MLB draft from the Orioles. Take that, Orioles. You take our first baseman.
That dude had to be a pitcher because of that name, bro. With that kind of name, you definitely need to be a pitcher. Because if you were like a soccer player with that name,
Armbruster.
We got laughing. The arm bazooka. My new favorite prospect, the arm bazooka. Now watch him only throw like 91. Fucking name.
But hey,
he does like a 91.
One thing, listen, this is a clean slate now. This is basically what it is. It is a clean slate, and you also have your core of stars in Lindor and Soto about to enter their prime. Build around it. Let's see what they can do. If Stearns wants the trust back, he'll make the right moves, the smart moves. We'll see what he does. Guys, we're going to we're going to stay on for about 5 more minutes here, and then we're going to hop off. We're going to talk a lot more about this on Friday, which is going to be now our regular podcast episode live stream for the rest of the offseason. It just lined up better with our schedules. We'll have Frank here as well, the three of us. And we will get into Diaz leaving, Alonso leaving. We'll also get into some of the other rumors of what the Mets are attached to. We'll see. Again, I don't know what the direction is going to be for this team. We'll see what it is. I am willing to hear the Mets out on this one. I really am, after 7 years of underachieving. It's just the reality of the situation. Diaz was a little bit different, I'd say, because of the situation with me, because of, how much they lost him by, but we already knew that the Mets are not willing to go more than 3 years for Pete Alonso. He gets 5 years from the Orioles. That's pretty much it. There's not really much that you can say at this point. I'm waiting for the notification that McNeil has been traded. He has to go. How long have we done this, Andrew? 6 years? We've been saying trade this guy for 6 years?
I mean, I think the first time I brought it up, I was skinny. Now I'm really fat, and he's still here. So, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. I had a full head of hair.
You had hair, exactly. Now you got to go to Turkey.
I had hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have hair. I had hair. Yeah.
Oh, boy. So, all right.
We'll see what happens. I'm interested. It's a clean slate right now. A new era in Queens that is going to be centered around Lindor and Soto. The two guys that don't like each other. The one guy that likes fashion and the other one that doesn't like fashion. What will happen next? Find out next time on Mets Mania. Okay. Last message, Andrew. Your best friend is gone. Nimmo. I'm talking about Nimmo. But Pete Alonso is done. And again, we will be talking about more on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, good riddance. I'm tired. I am so happy I never have to cheer for you again. I can now dropkick all these polar children back to the North Pole. And David Stearns, I don't trust you, but boy, you better start cooking because you need to make a real big pizza and you ain't got no ingredients.
Yeah, all right. We'll see what they do. We'll see what the trade market looks like. We'll see what the free agent market looks like. We'll see how they fill this thing in. And hopefully we get a 26-man roster that's deep and we don't have, ShopRite employees on our bench or ShopRite employees when there's one injury that goes down. That would be cool. That would be awesome. A collaborative team, and we don't pay sums like this to form one. Whether they have all the money in the world, it's dumb. It's not right. Either way, Pete, thanks for everything. 7 years. You've been a great Met. The all-time leader in home runs in Mets history. A great career that he leaves behind and goes to Baltimore. One more time, Mets ex-first baseman, former first baseman, signs with the Baltimore Orioles, 5 years, $155 million, as the Mets now move on to a new era of Mets baseball. We'll see what they have in store for us for the rest of the winter, and we are going to end it off here. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the conversation, even though it was probably a rough conversation to have for some Mets fans, which is fair. It's okay to be upset. Either way, if you're upset, come on back to Mets Weekly for some other podcast episodes that we usually go live now on Friday at 7:30 Eastern Time. We are live every week throughout the entire offseason and also after every series of regular season games. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X, TikTok, follow all of us individually. And finally, let's go Mets. Let's see what is next. Pete Alonso, farewell. It has been real. We'll see you guys next time.